What's up, buddy?
What's happening?
How you been?
Yeah, can't complain. Can't complain.
Uh, you enjoy the work week?
Oh yeah. I got back to Tuesday, and it was I think it was like 11 degrees with like a 1 degree wind chill factor, blowing like
Just,
25 miles an hour, working outside.
yeah, dude, has it been weird for you? Like it got up to like almost 40 degrees the other day, and then the next morning it was like 9 degrees. It was just
Yep.
like it was just fucking with us.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Slowly melting
Yeah, dude.
though, so that's good.
Yeah, I'm getting a little nervous because it is starting to you're starting to see it. You get the cold days and the warm days and that weird fluctuation, and then just like I don't have my kayak yet, so like the water's about to break, and I don't have a boat yet. So I'm hoping that Old Town gets their shit together and gets that shit, gets it to me.
Hell yeah, man. I'd be sweating it right now.
I mean that's one of the reasons I didn't go down south and go fish because I ended up having to get a new boat, and then plus I had to pay for all that other shit that I lost when I flipped my kayak in the fall. So I've been working my ass off trying to get things paid off and stuff so when our season actually kicks off, I'll be ready to rock and roll.
Absolutely. You probably got another 4 weeks before you start fishing, right?
Yeah, well, no, it depends. March, so I would say probably about mid-month. Actually, I could probably get away with it now, but this month, probably the next week or two, we can start hitting like some of the canals and some of the river systems that we have up here. It's still cold, but I mean, like it's the warmest water there is. I mean, there's the Seneca Canal or whatever that hooks to Kayak. The water temps stay pretty warm. All things considering, but we always a lot of us usually hit that up early in the season before everything really starts to thaw out, and just find fish looking for warm area or whatever leftover grass. But we don't really start getting into it till about April. But we do what we can where we're at.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Yeah.
Well, what about you? Are you guys fishing locally right now?
I'm gonna make it out this weekend. It's been frozen up until this weekend, so
Yeah,
starting to clear. Some ponds are open, some ponds aren't.
yeah. I have not figured out how to master the cold yet as far as fishing. I'll pretty much just go out. I just keep throwing lures, keep throwing baits until one day it's that time of the year they start eating again. It's kind of how I roll.
That's it, man. That's it.
Well, cool, man. You did pretty good down at Lake Murray. I haven't talked to you probably since after the national championship, but dude, your season's already started off pretty good. How are you feeling about things so far?
No, well, now I'm feeling good. I wasn't feeling too hard about it after Florida, but feeling a little bit better. I mean, not that fishing was that great in Murray. It was on tournament days, but before that, I didn't catch shit during practice. I got one fish in 3. So
yeah,
really,
it's hard for me to commit to those tournaments down there. Because we did the Santee Cooper that one year together, and that was a horrible experience. Like you went, the drive down there, the money that we spent, and I didn't catch a single fish while I was down there. I know a lot of people were struggling, but still, it's just like that early months that they like to have in the beginning of the year, just brutal. Like the South isn't as warm as what we think it is. The water tips aren't as good as we think they are. The fish aren't as hungry as we think. I don't know why everyone thinks fishing down south is great in like February and January, because I think there's better months to fish there than February and January.
yeah, it's like you either got to go way down, or nothing. Yeah, in between, it gets tough. It proved it this weekend when I think 60-something people didn't catch a fish on Saturday.
Dude, that's a lot of disappointment. That's a lot of disappointment.
Yeah,
it was so bad. I was watching like social media. I think I watched like 3 or 4 people give up on kayak fishing. Like I think I saw one person who's offered to sell his shit, and then another person said, "I'm done with this tournament." I really think like Lake Murray broke some people.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. I was bent over backwards. I just happened to recover. I was on the verge, for sure.
Yeah,
it definitely wasn't what I was expecting, but when is it ever that?
True. Well, tell me about it, man. Like, how long did you and Derek plan this? Get down there. Like, give me some give me some of the tips, man. Like, what were you guys thinking when you guys got down there, and what were you guys thinking? Like, that's, like playing a tournament around like I said, when we did Santee Cooper, that completely changed me. Like, I'm just like, well, I definitely need to figure this shit out. This is like your second season doing this, and obviously, like you're like me, you come from a cold area anyway, so we should have it together. But fishing down south and cold is a lot different than fishing up here in the cold. 40-degree water temps down there that's pretty good for up here. In like March and April, like they start biting around like mid 40s. But down there in the 40s, those fish are miserable. They're finicky. They don't want anything to do. Like, what have you learned so far? Would you take with you down there this time this year? And what was it like pre-fishing?
Well, pre-fishing was tough. Between the mix of super chocolate milk water and half the lake, you know what I mean? And then you had like a little mediocre, and then the other end was gin clear. So, I really struggled in practice. Like I said, I caught one fish on a drop shot. I threw everything I had in my bag at him pretty much. I caught a few stripers, but I fished deep in the creeks. I spent a whole day in the backwater, and then I spent a whole day offshore, and I didn't catch fish either way. And then I went back inside where I went fishing the first day. I was like, maybe they just weren't biting that day. Maybe I can figure out something else. And then I went back in there and I struck out again. So come Friday, I was just, I don't know, like you said, half broken, but I toughed it out and I focused again and just figured I got to go to some new water. I knew I was looking for a little bit clearer water than what I had been fishing in all week. I found that, and there's a bunch of guys at the ramp I was at, so we all kind of took off, and I seen like 2 or 3 guys were kind of heading in the direction I was headed. So I was just like, you know what, I'm going to keep steaming. I'm going to go until these guys pull off. And then I kind of have a general idea because they probably obviously been fishing there already. That was kind of new to me. I hadn't stepped there yet. So it's like, I'll give guys some respect. And so I kept going. I went about another mile after the last guy pulled off. And I just was planning on starting on this main lake point and luckily everybody had pulled off before I even got there. So I was like, all right, I can start where I want and figure it out from there. And it took me like an hour and a half to get bit, but I got bit and on the jerk bait too. So I got all sorts of excited. And I went down the bank probably about another 200 yards and got bit again. And the light bulb went off. I'm like, oh, here we go. I'm throwing the jerk bait all day. I was in like 8-10 feet of water. I just put head and lock, fished down the bank, 2 hours, not a bite. So I turned around and went back to that main point and scanned around there for a little bit and found a couple piles of chunk rock and started casting on them. And it was just like lights out from right there. So I think I caught 3 fish in 30 minutes, gave me a full bag. And I just spent the rest of the day there just hanging around and catching a fish here and there. Then I ended up having a long ride on the way back. I went to a hump that I had gone over in the dock that kind of looked interesting off another main lake point. I pulled up there, and there was a bass boat there, and they were dragging worms. I asked them if they had gotten anything. They said they got a limit. They're in a tournament, but nothing big. So they kind of turned around and worked around the point. I turned around and cast it offshore with a jerk bait. It was like third cast. I got a 17.5. That bumped me right up. And then 2 casts after that, I got a 20. And this was at like, I think lines were out at 2:30. This was at 2:20. I got the 20. And I looked down at the results after I sent that in, and I was tied. And the guy had me with a big fish by 3/4 of an inch. So I had 10 more minutes of fishing. I didn't catch another fish. I needed another upgrade. I had a couple 16.5. So I knew the potential was there, but didn't pan out. But I'd take a second, and I was happy with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of people I'm sure would be upset if they got second place,
Yeah. It had me guessing a lot because I know guys are catching fish in the dirty water, and I just couldn't seem to get bit. So I knew I had to go somewhere where I felt a little bit more comfortable.
What do you think about when the water's cold like that? Like one of the things that I've been talking to people, like especially who that fish Seminole, about a week or two before that, was like where the fish were found was kind of unusual. And I didn't really think it was unusual. Maybe that's because I deal with a lot of cold weather before, and it's just like the fish want 2 things. They want to find the warmest water. They want to find something to eat. And that's kind of what I go with, try to find where the bait's going to be, but also try to find the warmest water possible. But, a lot of guys were winning, they won the tournament off throwing a jackhammer up shallow and pulling it back out. Kind of how, the guys did at the Santa Cooper that one year. It was like everyone's thinking offshore, go deep because it's cold, but it's like the fish were up shallow trying to stay warm or whatever, or as warm as possible, and people were catching them off the chatterbait. Did you see like a similar pattern with like this time of the year, where it's like, like a lot of people think that because when those cold fronts come in, it immediately pushes the fish back to where they were in during the winter phase, but it's not necessarily true. A lot of them, like, they stay up shallow. They just don't move up any closer than what they were because they don't go all the way back, but they don't go forward either, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't catch nothing way back in the creeks. Like I said, I caught all my fish out front off the main lake. I think a lot of them were just starting to move up, to be honest with you. It's like I think I kind of got on a first wave that had come up to that main point. And I got them on day 2. Like, I went to that same spot and they weren't there. But there was like a group of trees, maybe, I don't know, quarter mile down the bank. And I seen them on the day before. I fished them all, didn't get a bite off of them. And I'm like, well, if they aren't here and they are moving up, then maybe they'll be there. And day 2, it just went from a jerkbait bite on day 1 to a straight jig bite all day on day 2. It was awesome.
Well, how did you break it down when you first got there? And like you're feeling like shit, you can't find anything. The day's just whatever. Like you said, bent over backwards. You kind of want to go home, but you rode down there with Derek, and he's got the keys, so you can't get out. What do you like? How do you break it down? Like on a hard day like that, where do you start? What do you look for? What's kind of like your strategy for like hard days like that?
My I just had to reset. I just had to go out and totally reset, forget everything for the last 3 days, and it's pretty much, I knew I had to focus and come down out on day 1 like I was just getting there, and that was going to be my first day of practice, and I just needed to go out and fish like my game plan. I was going to start on those main lakes and main lake points and humps and offshore if that was possible, but I just wasn't finding any bait offshore where I was, so I couldn't find any fish offshore to go with it. So I just knew I had to focus and kind of like just reset, like I said, just go out there and fish. And it panned off.
Keep throwing it till you find it.
Yeah, that's it. Grind till you find. That's my motto. You know what I mean? I mean, you know where they're gonna be. We all know where they're supposed to be and where they should be. And if they're not
and
there,
where they want to be,
they can't be that far, or they're just not biting. It's full fun figuring it all out.
Well, was it really an offshore? Like, I know like when people say offshore, like offshore is kind of different to us, at least to me, like where I fish. Like, do they have much of offshore at Lake Murray? I know they didn't. The Santee Cooper, there wasn't much of an offshore anything, but I haven't really been to Lake Murray before.
I mean, that main river, swings through there, and then that's like 100 something feet of water, and then there's a bunch of 30-foot, 40-foot humps out there. So you had some good humps out there, and you can see it on your machine. There's like old stump fields down there and 40 feet of water. I was actually hanging up. I was throwing a blade bait out there. And I was marking fish, but I don't think it was bass. I think it was like carp or something moving up out of the deep water onto those big humps. You could see them laying down there. They're kind of spread out like bass, but they're just sitting on the bottom. They were either bass and there wasn't any bait to get them motivated, or there was something else, carp. I was told the carp were starting to move up, and I was seeing them breaking out in like 30 feet of water. So I just assumed that was them.
Right. Now, so did you do you expect like an offshore bite when you're doing like I don't do a lot of river fishing, but I know when like that water's moving quick, I want nothing to do with it. Like I know you guys got the spotlight or whatever, the motor guy, but I don't feel comfortable getting in the river because I was watching the way it was moving when I was watching some other videos and things like that, and I was like, man, the river was moving.
Yeah, I mean, I was way down in the main lake, you know what I mean? So it wasn't too much current. It was more wind-blown current than anything down there where I was. But, yeah, up where some of them guys were in that tight river, that stuff was moving pretty good, for sure.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I went down there hoping to find an offshore bite.
Don't you guys always do that, though? That's your thing, right? You want the offshore bite?
Yeah, that's where I'm going to start. The crowd. You're out there by yourself, so
that's weird because I like to start shallow and then work my way out.
Yeah, you watch all them videos, dude, and down there in Murray, it seems like they kill them offshore all the time, all season. You know what I mean? So
right, yeah, but I mean, you guys, you and Derek are like, that's kind of like your thing. At least I know that for Derek. Like, he loves the offshore bite. Me, I tried, but like one of the things that I found the offshore bite, like, I don't mind doing it at home now. I've gotten to where I've gotten a little bit more efficient at the offshore bite. But when it comes to tournaments, I feel like you've really got to put in a lot of time to find an offshore bite. Because I know, like, even like my local lakes, like, it's taking me, almost like a whole year last year to really find a good offshore bite on Oneida that I'm consistent where I can go out, where I can consistently go out there and catch fish now because, I put a lot of work in just graphing. But with tournaments, it's like how much time you have to really to like dedicate to the graphing and going out there and really finding. You and Derek seem to figure out pretty well. Is like, how do you guys like kind of do that? Like, because it's like it takes time. Like, I know some guys will tell you if you really want to be efficient at like an offshore bite, like you might be looking for 6 hours before you ever throw a lure in, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of riding around. So, I mean, if you're looking to fish offshore and you're not on them by tournament time, you might as well just throw the towel in and move back inside or something like that. But like you said, it's tough. There's a lot of graphing and it's easy to get distracted and discouraged. You know what I mean? But you could fish 6 humps and catch nothing, and then you hit the 7th one and it's a fish every other drop. You know what I mean? So
right.
It's worth it. But it's tough.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said it's worth it if you go out on them, but it's tough, and that kind of deters a lot of people from going out offshore. And I kind of like that. I'd rather fish alone and, not worrying about seeing some guy over there kind of creeping on the spot where I wanted to go in the next hour and sweating that he's going to go over there type stuff. You know what I mean? It's just easier on the mind for me.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just, I guess, like the biggest thing for me would just be like the timing, like, because like it's like you said, like if you don't have it picked out and decide, like if you don't have that shit figured out by game day, like you don't have it figured out, and like, you're not going to be able to. I mean, you might, but I mean, more than likely, you're not going to be able to produce well. It just seems like there's a lot of things that got to work out well for the offshore bite to be like the winning ticket. And I know it has been winning, but I think I see a lot of guys, outside of like Derek, and obviously, like because for some reason Derek, I don't know if it's just because of his. And you too, just because your guys' history, like you guys are just so efficient at it. But it's just like I've seen a lot of guys who want to be offshore, but they want to be offshore anglers.
Yeah.
But they're not really, because they don't have like they don't have it figured out or dialed in. And so come game day, like it doesn't change. It's not like the kind of like fishing close, like whatever, whatever, like the stuff that I normally fish. It's like there's a good chance there's gonna be a fish there. I mean, like if you know where fish like to be, that they be in the grass, they like stumps, they like this kind of stuff, and so you can make it work. But I feel like with the offshore bite, it's just like you're not going to make that work. Like you either figured it out or you didn't figure it out. It's all about your electronics. It's all about just so much like factors that I know it's a mind-boggling way to fish. But the guys who got it mastered, I don't think I've ever seen them not put a limit, up on the board.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you get untainted fish. You know what I mean?
Right.
40 feet of water. How many guys can put lures on them in 40 feet of water? You know what I mean? So it's just, and plus, usually when you find them offshore, you find a pile of them, not just a couple. Yeah, there's usually a pile of them, especially this time of year. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like Derek Brundle might not win every tournament, but like he very seldomly does he not catch a limit. Compared to like what you see on the board, like and I've seen like a lot of our great anglers in our sport like not be able to put a limit because it was a hard day of fishing, and then you see Derek Brundle, who, like I said, he might not be like he might have the biggest bag, but that because he understands that offshore bite, like I hardly ever see him not put a put a limit together, unless from day one he could tell you there was going to be a hard day, hard day of fishing. But for the most part, like he goes out there and he has a limit within like the first hour or two, and now he's just trying to find the big ones,
Yeah, dude. I mean, people talk about these guys are the most consistent anglers, and I think Derek just hasn't been around yet to be put on that level yet. But dude, he's top 5 basically. If he's not top 5, then he's like 30th. You know what I mean? So, and how often do you see him in 30th? So he puts it together. I mean, it's the reason why he's been in the 10 house the only 2 years that he fished in KBF. He's made both years for a reason. The dude's super consistent.
Right. No, I mean, I just wish I understood. Like, I just feel like he has like such a history, like what he used to do when he was younger on the boats, the offshore things that he used to do. Like, it's like he understands. I don't know if you're the same way, but like he understood, like understand like the map, and he was trying to explain to me one day, and it was just like, I wasn't worthy to hear what he had to say or something like that. I don't know what it was, but he was talking, trying to tell me like how to look at the maps and like, like where you see fish. Like, it's like he looks at a map and he sees where the fish are at. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
sure you're similar. It's like you guys look at these points and you look at these underwater, whatever terrain features on the map, and you're like, oh, there's probably gonna be fish there, and it's, and then I guess like the patience that you guys have is, I guess it's probably like the biggest thing. And not like, I was like the patient, but like the focus, because I fished with you guys before, and it's just like it's no bullshit. Like, it's like you guys wake up, you go out, and you fish all day, and you come back, you get ready, you get a decent hour's sleep, and then you do it again, and you do it again until game day. It's one of those things. Like, I really gotta get that system down of the patience, the focus, and because like I said, maybe it's because I've been around you guys personally, but I've seen it. Like, I know you guys, like you guys have a really good game plan going into these tournaments.
Oh yeah, dude, we're fully focused. I mean, we're coming down looking to win. That's what we want to do, and I mean, that's all. Both of us. It's all we're thinking about 24/7, basically, especially once tournament season starts here now. I mean, I got the local the Northeast Big Bass Challenge just started up March 1st, so it's game time now.
It's good. Yeah.
I'll be out there every weekend, and once there's enough light after work to get out for a couple hours, I'll be out. My kayak's on the roof of my work van. Not ladders, my kayak, and they never comes off the top of the van, so I'm ready to go.
Right. Yeah. Well, let me ask you, like, before you go to these tournaments, whatever, like what do you really look for, like, on the map? Like, because I guess the hardest part for me, and I've gotten better at it. I've watched videos, and like I've been bust my ass to, like to try to learn like the offshore. And like a lot of lessons I had to learn. I thought offshore fishing meant fishing deep. That's not what offshore fishing means. Offshore fishing means fishing away from the bank. Like, you're not within like one cast of the bank, and you're looking for like those offshore like points and things like that. But it's not the difference between offshore and bank fishing is that offshore fishing isn't bank fishing. It's got nothing to do with like depth and things like that. I mean, it could, but that's not like the focus. The focus is to find those places that are off the bank, and things like that, and like learning, and I guess learning how to read the map, like looking at a terrain feature, and figuring out what a ditch was. I didn't know what a ditch was for the longest time. People were telling me they were fishing a ditch, like in the lake. I'm like, what is a ditch? I'm thinking like what a ditch is like on land, and so I'm sitting there like looking at a map, like, what am I looking for? And then I finally figured out. I'm like, oh shit, that makes totally sense. But there's a lot of things that those things, kind of things you look for. Like, is there anything in specific that you just love to look for on a map or whatever before you really get down there and start fishing? So I guess like the pregame before you actually get down there and start pre-fishing.
Yeah, from what I was researching a lot, like on these these river systems that we're on, these are all new to me. So, one of the things I picked up on was like channel swings and stuff like that. And that main point that I got all my fish off of on Saturday, it was a perfect scenario. As the main channel swing was just offshore that point. It was a main lake point, and it was just set up picture perfect for what happened. So, I mean, that's kind of what I was looking for. Channel swings up in the back creeks. If they were going to be up there in the back creeks stacked in, then that's kind of what I was focusing on. I mean, right. I'm still learning a lot on all these big bodies of water and techniques and where to find the fish. I mean, I've watched plenty of shows over the years where they explain this stuff, and they'll move up to the main points and then they'll move up to the secondary. But back here, we're fishing small ponds and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So for a bass to come out of 10 feet, it just swims 20 feet up to shallow water, and that's what it does. They don't really set up like they do on these big lakes. So.
Well, that was what I was like, because I'm like you. I watch those same videos, and they're always saying, during the winter they start off in the main lake, and then they start moving up. And they get to the point, and then they go in, they hit the secondary points, and they keep moving back these creeks until they get to the back of the creeks where they want to spawn. And I'm like, I fish a lot of the, like the Finger Lakes, because I think most lakes that where we are like similar to the Finger Lakes in the sense that they're all like pretty much like natural lakes or like they're more like bowls. Like big giant bowls or whatever, like fish bowls or whatever, than they are down south from like those whatever, like river chain lakes or like however you want to describe them. But like they're different in the sense that we don't have like creek arms, we don't have like most of the lakes I fish on don't have secondary points. We have like points, but they don't come out like points. They don't look like a nipple or anything. They look like whatever. It's just like a little piece of land that goes in the water a little further than the rest, but it's still like a weird shaped bowl all the way around. It's like, well, how do you find fish in it? They don't make videos that, they tell you that, they have, like they always talk about points, secondary points, and things like that. I'm like, well, my lakes don't work like that. My lakes are very, like it takes a lot of. Maybe that's why we are like the people up here in the Northeast are so good at offshore fishing, because that's pretty much what you have to do. You have to go out there in the lakes, these lakes that don't have these creek arms and things like that, and really get out there and start finding like those underwater, points or whatever underwater, if whatever coverage or whatever it is that those fish sit on, during the winter and move up during the spring. Maybe that's why you got like people up here are so good at offshore fishing and drop shotting and things like that, because a lot of times it's like the only way to fish up here.
Right. I mean, I think back home we have all those setups, but they're just like, I mean, where it's only a couple of feet of water, that difference, you know what I mean? Not 30 feet of water. So, I mean, they're here, but they're just a lot less subtle. So it's tough to really.
Like most of the lakes I have to fish over here are like Lake George. They're like Cayuga. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, they're great. Like even like Lake Champlain, you know what I mean? They're just these big bodies of water, but there's not a lot of stuff. You'll find like the fish spawn and feed in the same spots, most of the time.
Yep.
The lakes that I fish up here.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, we're even smaller down this way. I mean, we're talking 400, 500, 600 acres. I mean, you find them in the same spots. I mean, that's kind of why it's good for some of our online challenges. So, I can get a whole pond down here in a day, not just a back bay, in some of these big lakes.
Right.
But
yeah.
Either, so we suffer that way with the numbers.
Right. Well, shit, man. So what's next for you? I mean, second place isn't bad. You're not too happy what happened in Florida. I know the season started, but I feel like for a lot of us, like the season hasn't started. Like, I mean, like we're still just kind of waiting to come out of our, our caves, kick the snow away, grab our boats and go find some open water. But I mean, what are you looking at? What are you excited about? I mean, you guys are kind of like in a little, like pause right now. There's not a lot of tournaments, I think, over here or coming up.
Yeah.
Or
it's Pickwick, but we're not going to travel that far for that one. You know what I mean? We got the Potomac at the beginning of May. I'll miss a few days for that or work. And then we got Candlewood at the end of May. So that's where I'm going to focus. I'm going to start focusing on fishing Candlewood here on these weekends, starting pretty soon, as soon as it's iced out down there. And I'm just going to focus on that. The 2 seconds, it's huge. I think with the KBF, the way it's set up this year, with it's only legitimate like 10 events, and it's going to be more entries at every event. So I think the double second's huge. If I can get one more decent finish, then I'll be pretty happy with AOI points as far as that's concerned. But
now, are you fishing any other tournament series like the elite kayak fishing? Are you gonna be doing that with us?
Might see me up at like Cayuga and stuff. Those are kind of gonna be like spur of the moment ones for me.
Dude, those are like my season. Like, I mean, like I'm doing at least 3 of them. I'm so excited about them because it's just, I love fishing the Northeast. I have a hard time fishing down south just because I don't live there anymore. And I just love fishing up here. And I love the fact that I ain't got to travel across the country, but Cayuga, like that's going to be like an epic day of fishing. Like, I don't think people realize like how big like the potential is for that to be like your best day ever fishing.
Yeah, that's what I heard about that lake. So I'm like really excited to get up there. And I hope I can make it. I mean, we're going to be really busy with the KFL stuff.
I forgot about the KFL.
We got a team from Pennsylvania and Rhode Island, so we can kind of like keep it under 6 hours for travel time. So worst case scenario, we leave at midnight and we go there and fish that day. You know what I mean? So that'll cut on as far as travel. So, I mean, I've already taken 3 weeks off of work, man, and we're not
the season hasn't even started, and you're already out of days off.
Yeah, I got to be disciplined here. My boss has been really nice and let me do this, so I can't take advantage of it at the same time. You know what I mean?
No, I know. I hear you. Yeah, 100%. But do you plan on doing anything like? What'd you say?
I said I'm gonna hit as many of the elite events I can. Maybe some local any bass and stuff here on the weekends, and as far as KBF, that's my main focus is Candlewood and the Potomac for sure.
Oh wow! So you only like in the books, you only got like 2 more big events planned. Like I mean, I know you guys are gonna fish a lot more than that. But as far as like the events that really matter to you,
stuff those 2 events, I got to get some more AOI points. That's why I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket, but that's why I'm going to hit Candlewood so hard. I've never fished there, but I got to get down there and just grind it out and do back-to-back days on every weekend up until like 6 weeks before the tournament. You know what I mean?
Have you ever fished the Potomac?
Yeah, I fished it last year for KBF for the first time.
That's right. That's a tough place to fish too, isn't it? Like the tidal fishery.
Yeah, it is. I mean, caught a bunch of fish. I lost a bunch of fish. I lost a ton of fish there. I was struggling, but we Potomac. It was different. I caught more catfish than bass.
Did you end up hooking into any of those like those weird ass snakehead fish or whatever?
No, I didn't get any of them. I got my first mudfish down in Florida this year, which I was kind of pumped about that.
Yeah. Well, shit. Are you looking at doing like Champlain at all? The Hobie event up there?
Yeah. I mean, Derek was talking. If he goes to that, then I'm gonna have to get on board with that. I'll have to buy a pedal drive. I mean, I've never played, but I've heard just nothing but good stuff about there too.
I'm surprised you guys haven't fished those areas yet. Like, I mean, you guys aren't too far from us. Like, you're not too far from New York. I know you're not too far from Candlewood. I mean, like,
as far as like traveling and fishing, dude. I mean, this whole KBF thing's been an eye opener and a new thing for me as far as traveling. I've never really traveled to go fishing. I've traveled across hunting, but not to go fishing really.
Right. So I mean, so let's be honest. Like, you never really fished these big lakes before. Like, I mean, like you fish like your little local areas, but like to go down and like fish like these big, Santee Cooper, like whatever these big lakes that we fish, in the KBF event, you never fished anything like that before you did these tournaments.
Nope. The KBF is the first time I've been to these like big lakes like this.
So good. That kind of gives guys hopes. I mean, one day you can be a national champion. Just keep fishing your pond and get better in there. Get better fishing your pond, and one day you can be a national champion like Matt Conant.
Yeah, right. You never. You only got to win one day, right?
Right.
You can be the man. You're only as good as your last tournament. It's just like dirt bike racing. You're only as good as your last race.
Right. Now, what do you think of the van life? How's that working out with your better half, Derek?
It's awesome, dude. I mean, everything's in the van now. It's all protected. We can go into the store at the same time and not worry about our gear. Traveling. He built a nice rod box underneath, so you're not worried about throwing stuff on top of your rods. He's got it pretty dialed in already, but he's got a few more tweaks he's got up his sleeve.
Dude, that's such a good point, because like you see so many guys, like, because everyone's obsessed with the with the trailers now.
Yeah,
like you see everyone like they're decking them out. They're investing a lot of money into them just for some asshole to walk by and steal all their fishing poles. And I was thinking that the next thing is either going to be those vans or like the trailers. They had the complete trailers or whatever. I'm talking about the utility trailers that are completely the enclosed trailers. It's going to be those or the vans, because I'm not like, unless I'm camping at a campground, like, dude, their shit's in danger. Like, I mean, people will steal your shit.
Van life's the way to go, especially if you're rolling solo. Like, if I'm not there, Derek will probably just throw his kayak up on the roof racks, and then he'll have his cot in the back, and he can just pull over and sleep anywhere. You know what I mean? If you're out there for the weekend, you wouldn't even have to get up. You probably pull into a Walmart and sleep in the parking lot, and then go back to the ramp in the morning, not sweat it. I think years, dude. Years motorcycle racing.
Right. I think it's like it's kind of what Cody Milton does. He lives in his van, doesn't he?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, he pulls that thing right in the back of that thing. Gone. See you later.
Yeah. I mean, that's Derek Bruttle's crazy. Like, he's got his the new canoe posted all over. Like, the guy's a professional angler. I don't care what anyone says.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, I don't see many dudes that taking the approach at this like he is, man. He's really working at where he's got already, and he's got nothing but he's got some good stuff ahead of him coming.
Well, what are you doing differently? We'll wrap this up soon, I promise. But you're the national champion, but what's changed for you? Like, it's been a few months since you've won that. Like, have you figured out how to do it yet? Like, it's tough. I know it's like you win something, you don't realize how big of a deal you are. But are you blasting social media, or are you getting sponsors, or are you working this, or you kind of just like whatever, I'm just here to fish?
Yeah, I'm kind of taking it as it comes. You know what I mean? I got a couple little things in the works, but I'm not like. I feel as though I got a little bit more to prove before I can start throwing myself out there. You know what I mean?
What do you got to do? What's next? There's not. I guess you got to win the 10. That'd be bigger than the national championship.
I'm just thinking about more consistency, more events, belt type stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
Any a one-hit wonder, dude.
Yeah, but you're saying that I see your second place check behind you, so well, that's pretty consistent.
I feel as though I got to get to some point before I can start telling people I'm gonna represent you and this and that, and I can do this.
Right.
That's just how I don't know. Everybody gets trophies nowadays. I'm not a firm believer in that. I think you got to earn your stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
You prove your worthiness out there.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I haven't reached that point yet myself. I'm kind of still in the trenches, trying to figure out how to just cash it, how to just get my hand on a check, and then I'll figure out how to cash it. But yeah,
whole sponsor thing too, man. You know what I mean? You see a lot of these guys with all these sponsors, but what are they getting? 10% off type stuff. You know what I mean? Me personally, I think of a sponsor, I think it's somebody that's throwing you a whole bunch of stuff. You're representing them. They're paying you to represent them at the same point. You know what I mean? So
no, I agree 100%. That's one of the things I've had to deal with the podcast. It's like I don't really have any sponsors. I got some people that give me some really good discounts, and some products I really like. I enjoy the discount and I enjoy the products, but as far as like a sponsor, I don't think I've ever had someone like truly invest in the show because they believed where the show was going or anything like that. And I think the same thing with like most anglers. It's like you're not really sponsored because does the guy know you personally? Does he know you what you do? Does he call or check in on you? Does he know what your next tournament is? Does he care what your next tournament is? Or is he the only time he notices you when you post a big check? There's things like that I think about with a sponsor. Like they believe in what you're doing and they support what you're doing, and that you're not just someone that's part of their your 1,000, 10,000 team pro staff, which is good. I don't have anything against pro staff. I think it's great. It makes fishing a lot easier for everyone. But sponsorships, like I said, I've had to deal with it. I don't even know if I want to deal with it, to be honest with you. I think one of the things I learned is like I'm fine just being kind of what I am and doing the things I do and not worry about the whole what's your I've been asked like what's your reach? Like, what do you mean what's my reach? Like, I don't even know what that means. It's like, well, how many downloads do you get? I don't know. People are downloading my shit every day, so I don't even know how to give you those numbers. It's like, well, how many followers do you have? I don't know. My numbers just keep changing. Can you give me about another year when it's a lot higher than it was last year, and I'll give you those numbers? It's weird when you look at that whole the whole part of fishing. It's just like, do you like my show? If they say yes, and then support it. And if you don't like my show, then why are you calling me in the first place asking what my reach is? I don't know what my reach is.
Right. I'd rather get sponsored due to results, not due to my social following. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. You know who I am. You know what I do. Do you like it or you don't? Is it worth your? It's just it's a weird world. I don't know how far I really want to dabble in it.
Yeah.
I got a real job. I get to fish a lot, and I get to do the things I do. My family life is good. Like, what else am I really looking for? Like, do I really think someone's going to drop a $5 million check for me to do a podcast? I'm like, I don't think so. That's probably not going to happen.
If those days do show up and dudes are getting paid like that, then yeah, absolutely, I'd be all about it. But as far as right now, maybe getting a few bags of bait and 10% off of this, 10% off, 20%, it's kind of. I don't know, it might sound like an asshole, but it's not worth my time. You know what I mean? I got a full-time job going on, and
it's not paying the bills, and it's not putting food on the table, and like my kids aren't going to college off that shit. So like, when this podcast is over, I gotta go to sleep and get ready to go back to work in the morning. So unless you can change that, that factor in my life, you're not really doing much for me except,
Absolutely.
whatever, like I said, a discount. Okay, I'll tag you and I'll talk about you, but you're not my world. Like, you're not that one thing that just changed my life completely,
Absolutely. I agree with you there 100%. Hopefully
All
someday
right.
it will, but we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, you don't know. I mean, you keep winning the sport. I don't know what the sport's going to do. Like I said, like to me, I don't even know how much I really want it to grow. I kind of like the way it is now. With the way everyone can participate, and it's anyone can do it. So I don't really know what people are really expecting from it in the future. But I mean, whatever. I mean, like if things change, things grow, and if it does grow, that's great. If it doesn't, that's fine. Like I mean, I think we all kind of just enjoy traveling and fishing. I mean, it gives us all something to do besides working and all the other things that we have to do in life. I know it's nice to go on a weekend trip to go fish a lake I haven't fished and to see friends I only get to see at these events and things like that. I think that's like the best part of fishing. I don't know if there's a sponsorship for that, but that's kind of why I like the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do 3 things. I go to work, I go fishing, and I go hunting. So
Right.
I mean, if I work that all into and be able to go out and do it when I can, then I'm happy. I mean,
Right.
my boss doesn't get punished by me not being there, and I can go out and do these tournaments, and I'll take it for what it is. But
yeah,
as far as maybe next year, I might branch out and do some other events, as far as maybe some BASS stuff or some Hobie stuff. But we'll see what happens. It's tough to start doing more than 4 or 5 events a year, and it gets a little out of hand.
You're not lying. Like each year, I think I'm gonna be able to max out, and then each year I learned that I can't max out. What I mean by max out, like max out via like go fish this, go fish that, fish all these things that I want to fish, and then closer to the season gets, it's like, dude, don't go out there and just you can't do that to your family. You can't do that to you can't ask for that much time off. I mean, eventually I might be able to, but unless you're like, I'm cashing I'm cashing checks and I'm consistently good, and I do have those people who are paying my my fees, my tournament fees, and helping me with the travel. Until I get that, like, don't try to live like a rock star. You're not a rock star yet. Like, go play your small shows and your open mic nights or whatever, but don't go out there and try to play stadium tours every night when you're not making that kind of money or that kind and to commit to that is just thousands and thousands of dollars. And so it's like I had like this year again, I had to step back. All right, find a few tournaments you really want to do. Yep. Why do you want to do them? That's kind of why I picked the Hobie events. Like they have, a few Hobie events that are close. Like, okay, I can go to those. And like my goal is to make it to the TOC. If I can't do it in those 2-3 events, then I probably wasn't going to do it at the other events either. So it's okay. But like, at least, I'm still traveling. I'm still competing, but I've minimized like my costs and I'm being smart about it. Like, who knows if I win if I was like one of the guys who wins first place at Lake Champlain, well, I just got $7,000. So now I got some spending money. Now I can go for sure do the next tournament. But like till then, it's just like take it slow, kind of like what you're talking about, like earn, like I kind of get what you're saying, like kind of like earn where you're at, like be what I mean, like be consistent, be before you start, be a good angler before you start pretending like you're a good angler. I guess that makes any sense.
There's nothing worse than falling on your face. You know what I mean? So. But I wasn't even going to go to Murray. My boss, I was supposed to come home from Florida. My boss was supposed to go down to Florida for a week or 2 with his kid motocrossing. So his kid got injured and he's recovering from surgery he had, and the doctor didn't give him the A-OK to go down to Florida. So I was fortunate enough just to make it to Murray on those circumstances. I was just basically planning on Potomac, Florida, and Candlewood.
I mean, I agree with you 100%. Like, just do what you can. Like, you don't have to do it all in 1 year. I mean, you can make it. Like, I mean, like you're only as good as your last event, and the next event can be the one. So, and I'm kind of like you. Like, just be picky. Pick the ones that you think you're going to do good at, and do the ones that you can that financially make sense to you, and start from there. And then, if one day you become Jody Queen or Russ Snyder's or even Derek Brundle at this point, like then go with it. But until then, don't rush the process. But man,
yeah,
I really do appreciate you coming on the show, man. Like, I've been excited about every time. Like, since the time I met you, win the national championship, and people tell me you're going to be you're going to do something, to watch out for you, and like everyone says that, and you're like, okay, and then like they're like, oh shit, they were right. And the same thing happened with Derek Brundle. I'm like, and so I don't. Whenever like someone from the Northeast says something, like whether it's Rob, you, or Pete, like if they say watch out for someone, I'm like, all right, well, he's going to be national champion or rookie of the year or something. So, but it's been cool watching. It's good to see you start the year off, pretty good with the a good second place finish, and you got the rest of the season to figure it out, man.
Yep, absolutely. And if you give a shout out to all the maulers that have been cashing checks at these last couple of events, man. Mass maulers. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Northeast is showing out, my friend.
Absolutely. All
right, man. I'm gonna let you get out of here. Is there anyone you want to thank real quick that makes fishing easier for you?
No, I just got to thank New Canoe and Motor Guy for supplying me on the platform that I'm operating on. I couldn't do it without both of those two, implements there. So between that and Catalyst Rods too, that's going to be starting up here. That's going to be a rod sponsor that I got. That he's in the process of getting everything fired up. Along with that's Rob Richards and Derek are all paired up with that. So. That's about it. Friends and family and my boss, man. That's what makes it all happen.
Some people think their wives or it's like, I'm gonna thank my boss. It gives me that time.
That's the only dude that dictates where I come and go. My boss.
Well, cool, man. Well, I appreciate it, man. Good luck with everything else you got going, and hopefully I'll see you in Cayuga, which is in a few months. Absolutely. And hopefully we'll get on the water together soon. Like, we're not too far, so look forward to it, man.
Definitely, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later, bro.
Peace.